Hello, and welcome to ERPNext demos. A lot of our service providers, we make a lot of demos to clients, but we do it one-on-one. So the thought here is to try and make it a little bit more generic, take the information that a prospect shares with you and make it a little bit more generic and do a demo so that there are demos, a lot of demos out there, and different people in different verticals can get some kind of a self-service demo where they can go and look these particular demos up. That's the whole idea. So this particular demo is about the system integration business and a little bit of an understanding of the system description, system integration business. It involves the delivery of a combination of products and services. There's a very good mix of both products and services. Most of the products are bought out. In-house manufacturing is rare, not that it's not there, but it's like very little as a total component. And anyway, even if there is in-house manufacturing that is required, ERPNext does a very great job of doing manufacturing entries. And this demo will touch upon that. It won't go deep into it, but touch upon the manufacturing entries that could be done. Services are provided by a combination of both in-house specialists and outsourced resources. Monitoring the time spent by in-house resources and appropriating it to the project on which time is spent is important. This is, after all, integration, so you're working with very expensive white-collar resources, and ensuring that your inventory of these people, if you will, is utilized appropriately is going to be the most crucial part of ensuring that you're working on your business profitably and optimally. The integration business, the process, also involves significant on-site work, and that obviously involves time and then traveling expenses. Monitoring project level profitability is key to overall profitability of the integrator. And typically what happens with an integrator is, like, if you don't have a structured data system, then it's very difficult to figure out the profitability of each project. And oftentimes when you're computing project profitability on Excel, the expenses move from one project to another, not giving you the correct picture on the ground. And while a system integrator could think that he or she is making money on each and every project, yet at the end of the year, when they look at their overall financials, they find that there is quite a bit of gap between what they thought they were making and what they're actually making. And that is typically because the project level profitability is not getting appropriated in a structured way, and things are moving around. You're moving expenses away from a project for which you're computing profitability, and then nobody does this deviously, or nobody does this to fraudulently, but it just so happens that kind of very difficult to figure out how much of those expenses can be appropriated to a particular project. And a lot of it could possibly be sitting in general administration when it was not really the case. Maybe a whole bunch of it was spent on a particular project. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to have the company, ROI Retrievers is the brand under which I do ERPNext implementations. So let's say, I become a system integrator now, and I get a order from my client to make my day Inc. worth $50,000 US. The deliverables that I figured out is computers from, say, HP for 5K, control panel from Regulators and Controls Inc. for 10K, services that are bought out, outsource resources that I need from third parties, say Expertise Inc. for 5K. An in-house team, Thomas Singh, has billed 160 hours on the project. The in-house resource gets paid 2.5K per week, 2.5 thousand USD per week, which works out to $62.5 per hour. Traveling expenses comprising of air travel, hotel, sundry expenses, 1K each per diem, rental car, food and miscellaneous expenses at $500 each. The demo details, setup budgets. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be set up budgets to monitor costs and execution of project. We're going to be looking at the order to cash process for the demand side and purchase to pay process for the supply side. Timesheets captured and appropriated to the particular project the resource is working on, and traveling expenses appropriated to the project for which that travel is being undertaken. So a quick, this whole demo is going to be done on ERPNext. ERPNext, a little bit of a background about ERPNext. ERPNext is the most popular open source ERP. It's used by about 25,000 organizations across the world. Unicorns run their business on ERPNext. Yet ERPNext is in many ways the best kept secret in the world. It's not nearly as popular as it ought to be. There are millions and millions, hundreds or billions of small medium businesses across the world, and it really can be a lot more popular than what it is right now. But it's one of the fastest growing ERPs. It's the world's most popular open source ERP today. How this particular bullet point is something that I should take off. Sorry about that. So getting started on ERPNext, there is going to be a separate segment, about the SaaS version, the Frappe Cloud version, and the self-hosted version. But for the purposes of this demo, I've already built a self-hosted version of ERPNext, version 15, and I will do this entire demo on the self-hosted version. So this is what the demo is all going to be about. Yes, so this demo is going to be based on ERPNext, and to be able to access ERPNext, you just have to point your browser to the fully qualified domain name or the IP address on which your instance of ERPNext is hosted, and you log in using your user ID and password. And as you log in, you will see that ERPNext has got a workspace. And your workspace will be on the right, and what you see on the right will be dependent on the module that you pick on the left. For instance, if you have accounting, then you will see accounting related options like journal entries, chart of accounts, profit and loss statement, general ledger, trial balance, so on and so forth. If you click on buying, then you will see purchase orders, supplier material requests, supplier scorecard, and request for quotation, and so on and so forth. Selling, you will see sales orders, quotations, and working with customers, price lists, and so on. Stock, you work with the item master, you do stock entries, material requests, purchase receipts, anything related to inventory. HR will be all about employee master, leave application, leave allocation, types of leave, and all that. The payroll part of it will come in a separate module that's moved out in version 13. That's one thing I forgot to mention, that we are working with version 15 of ERPNext. In version 15, HR has been broken out to a separate module, and within HR, payroll is kind of separate from the base HR module. Manufacturing is the production plans, job cards, BOM, bills of materials, so on and so forth. You have quality, similarly quality projects and support projects. So you can have tasks, you can have projects, and projects is very important for the system integration business, because you want to deliver on projects appropriately and also compute and monitor project level profitability, right? So what I've done is I have added a company called ROI Retrievers, and I'll just walk you through that particular thing quickly. And in here there is one setting that I think, in my opinion, is appropriate for the system integration business. It's also appropriate for other businesses. I think it's got a great amount of advantage. Your complexity in implementing an ERP system, even if you're a true breed manufacturing organization or a distribution organization or a retail organization, your complexity in implementing an ERP solution comes down considerably. So it becomes a lot simpler if you disable perpetual inventory. ERPNext instance pushes this enabled out of the box. Perpetual inventory is great because it gives you a live balance sheet and a live P&L, but it also comes with significant downsides to it because it's hitting your book of accounts. The things that you do with your inventory can have very very stressful challenges to people in the entire organization and maybe even your auditors. So it becomes very tough, and there is a very particular reason, and I'll talk about that for the system integration, why you need to turn off perpetual inventory. I am going to have a separate segment on perpetual inventory versus periodic inventory, and I'm going to compare perpetual inventory against periodic inventory. When that module is ready, I'll come back and update the link to that particular module, and as comments in this particular section. So feel free to click through and check out that particular segment as well. So now this is important. So now let's go back to the requirements of the project. So this particular project requires computers, control panel, and services that need to be bought out from expertise. Plus, so typically what happens in an organization is that when you and I'll put this particular thing down here. What did I do? Okay, back again. So you typically get a client coming in and expressing interest in using your services, or you go out and you do some sales calls to drum up some business, and the client expresses interest and says that this is the kind of project that we're wanting to do in our organization. And when they do that, you can set it up as an opportunity on ERPNext. I'll just walk you through that. Here we go. Right. So there are a few masters that are probably there already in terms of supplier master and customer master. Yeah, I'll just walk you through that. And I will say opportunity from customer.
फेवरेट फूड फॉर एलिफेंट, हाथी का फेवरेट फूड है. आप सभी बंगाली लोग खाते हैं ना, इसका अचार बना के खाते हैं, दाल बना के खाते हैं, चटनी बनाते हैं. अब ओटेंगा बोलते हैं ना, क्या बोलते हैं इसका? ओटेंगा, वही है. असामीज बंगाल ऊर का पंडित साहब पड़ता है. यानी कि फेवरेट एलिफेंट एप्पल चलता बंगाली में चलता बोलते हैं. आपको इतना कैसे पता है? राजा है ना, टूरिस्ट आते हैं ना. बंगाली आते हैं, असामीज आते हैं.
So we're going to make an opportunity from a customer. There must be the customer make my day already set up. But if you don't, then you can click through to create a new customer, add the customer name here, and you'll be able to come back to this particular screen of completing the opportunity. So you put that in here. You put the source if you want. You can put an expected closing date of, let us say, end of this month. You can put a probability percentage over there, and more details about the organization that you're working with. You can put the opportunity value. So let's say we estimate this opportunity value to be of the order of about 60,000 USD, because we're still having discussions with the client about what the client exactly wants, what the specifications of this particular project is going to be. And then the thing that you could do when you're ready, at this particular stage, maybe you don't have the opportunity, I'll just put that in there. I'll put an opportunity with item, and we'll add an opportunity. And we'll call this, because typically in a system integration business, you will have a complex project. So let's call it project delivery, right? That's the item code. And I will use the edit in full form, which is always a good idea when you're using a new system. And though it's a combination of products and services, I'm going to leave this maintain stock checked for a particular reason, and I'll talk about it at the appropriate stage. And typically what happens, so we'll call this products, or we can call it services. You can call it anything. You could uncheck maintain stock, and still choose this as services. Let's choose services because it's a combination of products and services. And there is one not in here, right? So this is done, and this is all you need really. There's not a whole bunch of things that you need to check on. You can uncheck allow purchase, saying that there's only a sales item. These things come checked automatically, so you don't even need to visit those particular tabs if you don't want to make that too complicated. So yes, so now we did this particular thing. We have this opportunity with an item, and we're going to say the rate for this is like what I said, 60,000 USD, and the amount is 60,000 USD, and we're going to save this, right? And you can add contacts into this particular opportunity, right? You actually add contacts with the customer, and you pull that into the opportunity in here, right? So I'll pick this up. We have the items, we have everything. So we'll probably put a little bit of a descriptions at the appropriate place in the comment section. I'm just gonna, yeah, we'll use it in the comment section, and we will put new note. Opportunity is for an automation opportunities for an automation project. I can't say opportunities for an automation opportunity. Automation project consisting of computers, control panel, and integration services. I'm sure I'm not, it gets a lot more technical, but let's just go with this particular part. So now what you need to do is, like, you have a client expressing opportunity, client expressing interest in, in your services. So what you need to do is you need to size up this opportunity, and you need to get back to the client with a firm quotation, let us say. So the client comes in and says, okay, send me a quotations. So what you could possibly do is like, and I'll just show you one approach. You could take multiple approaches, but this could be a possible approach. So the thing that I would do is I'll add a bomb, and here's where the reason why I said that project delivery, and I wanted to make it a stock item, which is I left maintain stock checked because this is the reason. On ERPNext, you can't make a bomb for a non-stock item. So even though this is a combination of products and services, I still said, like, okay, this is going to be a stock item. And now you're going to add on the 5 components of costing that are there. So the first one is we're going to add it as computers. And we're going to set it up because those particular items aren't there. They are not there, right? So if I scroll this down, and I will say, just say raw material, right? Or let's say sub-assemblies. How about that, right? So default unit of measure, so that works. Actually, there is a small small complexity that I want to touch upon, and I'm not so sure if I want to touch upon it now. So let's keep it simple. We'll come back and use that and get into that level of complexity a little later. And we will add the control panel. Click on new item. So if I don't need to deal with that particular complexity, I don't even need to open up the form. I can just do something really quick. and then I will add an integration services, because we have to buy integration services from an outsourced party. And again, I'm sorry, I had to click on create a new item and complete the screen there. Again, subassembly. Now we have two in-house components, but because we need to estimate the cost of that in a single place, I'm just going to add this on into the BOM. Now, one of the things I really do need to do before we do this before we submit this particular, I'll save it and then I'll come back, because on ERPNext, a saved document is just in a draft mode. It's only submitted documents that you're allowed to work with. And here I will add timesheet expenses. Right? Again, I am being terrible. Timesheet. And I have to click on create a new item. Why is this? Why are we adding timesheet, though it is internal into as an item? And I will just talk about that. Just hold on to that skepticism for a bit, and I will tell you why I would do it this way. It's probably hacking it, hacks on ERPNext, but that's how I would do that. I'm sure different people might want to. I'm sorry. Traveling expense. Right, and then I have to again click on create a new item, and sub-assemblies and numbers. I'm going to save this. And I'm going to save this, and then I have to go to the item master and do one thing. These are all things that you don't need to worry about. The one thing before I go to the item master is that I'm going to come here and change this to valuation rate. From valuation rate, I'm going to change this to price list. Right? I'm going to save this. Hang on a moment. All right. Now, once I changed it to price list, we are trying to estimate the price of this particular product, right? So what we have to do now is we just have to have a separate price list, and let's say we call it MMDI 2023 San Diego, because it's Make My Day incorporated in the year 2023, and the delivery needs to take place in San Diego, so we're going to call that this particular price list. It's a special price list that we've created for this particular customer, for this particular project, specific for the reason of trying to estimate the cost of each of these particular deliverables, and I'll show you in just a bit. Now I said I'm going to take you to the item master, and I am going to have to change 3 of these particular items, integration services, from a stock item to a non-stock item. Non-stock item means that they get expensed out at the time of purchase. Stock item, if you have perpetual inventory turned on, means that you write it into current asset stock assets. If you make a stock item and you turn off perpetual inventory, which means you get periodic inventory, you have the ability to either write it into stock in hand, current asset stock assets, or you can expense it out. It depends on what you want to do, how you want to handle that. And then I'll pick up the timesheet expenses, and uncheck maintain stock. And now I am going to go to the BOM list, and I'm going to submit that BOM. It's in draft mode. I'm going to submit this. So now that you have the BOM set up and you have it pointed to a particular price list, so those are the errors it's saying that I don't have a price for computers, control panel, and all the 3 other components that we have in over here. So what you do now is you go and you give various people in your organization, your vendor management, your design team, your services team, admin team, the ability to update their pricing for each of these particular components. And the way you do that is you go and add into the item price. So let us say, based on the item price and with this particular price list, the MMDI, here's the price list that we need to work with, because that is what the BOM is pointing to. So we pick that up and we say add item, add price. Let's say the vendor management team comes back and says, okay, for the specification you've given us, I think we should be able to buy it at 5,000 USD. And they come in and they update this particular thing, right? And then similarly, the control panel, the design and the procurement team together comes back and tells you that this is going to, and they come and update it straight on ERPNext, and they say 10,000 USD. And we'll add another one, which is the integration services, 5,000 USD. And timesheet expenses. So your design team comes back and says, okay, we need about 160 hours of effort by in-house resource, and your cost of in-house resource is, let's say, 62.5. So you know that it's going to cost you 10K. And now the travel desk comes back and says, okay, for the kind of travel that you guys are talking about the time of the year that you guys are talking about, the travel expenses are going to be of the order of 5K. Right? So, and this is what happens. And you did that. Now the price is all updated. So the sales team comes back and they go to the BOM and they click on update cost. As the update cost is clicked, the prices that have been updated gets pulled into the BOM, and you know how much each of these particular components are going to cost. And if there are too many line items and you can't calculate in your head, you can just open this up and see it's 35,000 USD to deliver on this particular project. So now you know that this whole thing is going to cost 35,000 USD, and you come back to the opportunity that you were working with, and you click on the opportunity, and you say convert that or create a quotation. These are various things. So if you want to figure out the opportunity, if you're buying and selling things, then a request for quotation makes sense. But because you're integrating that, you have to use the BOM or a similar kind of thing. Different people, there might be other people in the community might have different ideas about how to do that. But this is what I would do, and this is one way I can think of, right? So now you come back and you say, okay, you put in a quotation of 60,000 USD. The customer comes back and talks to you, negotiates with you, and gives you an indication that at 50K, maybe we're able to close this particular deal. So you come back and the sales team comes back and puts in a quote for 50,000 USD, and I'll just save this. The customer, the contacts and everything else will auto-fetched. You can even change that if you want. but it's all auto-fetched from the opportunity. And now you can look at taxes and change that, and you look at terms and conditions. Here it is, the terms section, and you can add payment terms, and you can have general terms and conditions, and make a very well branded PDF that can be emailed to the customer. And if you have very what can I say, very complicated circuit diagrams and design specifications and drawings and a whole bunch of things, you could possibly use this for the commercial side of things and the technical side of things. You can do whatever whatever you're doing right now, because you'd probably be using different tools, and all those drawings and circuit diagrams and flowcharts and all those kind of things can be attached over here by clicking on this particular attachment, and here, and then so that you can have the entire document, and why you quoted what you quoted into for this particular deal. So now you have your quotation, and like I said, in ERPNext you have to submit a quotation, and once you submit, you can ensure you can set it up in such a way that this quotation is auto emailed to the customer. If you don't want to do that, you can always come here, click on email, and with appropriate email integration, which is very easy to achieve, you'll be able to send the PDF to the customer. So now you have a quotation, and the client comes back, talks to you. He likes your quotation, he likes you as a company, and he says, okay, here's your deal, and he gives you the purchase order. So then what you do is you come back and you pick up the quotation and you click through, and you say sales order, and it'll go fetch all the data and then make that into a sales order. You can review a whole bunch of things, like delivery date is something that you got to set. Obviously over here you can set that. I'm just going to go with today's delivery date here, and you can put the customer purchase order number, right, and let's say the customer purchase order date was today, and you can save and submit. And similar to the quotation, you can have a PDF, which is an order acknowledgement, go out to the customer, and then that order acknowledgement can be like I said, can be auto emailed, or you can go in and you can press on email. So now we have the sales order done, and we can actually start the execution of this particular project, and we're going on to execution in just a bit. Hello, and welcome back to this segment of ERPNext demos. So we try now demo a system integration business, and we have got the order from our client Make My Day Inc., and we have made a sales order out of it. And as part of this deliverable, there are a few dependent things that I'll just walk you through before we actually go on to the execution side. The first part is the items that have been set up. There are a few items that have been set up. Project delivery is the actual item, the sales item. Timesheet expenses, traveling expenses, integration expenses, control panel, and computers are the actual items that are involved in the delivery of this particular project. Computers and control panel are bought out items, so is integration services, though computers and control panel are inventory items that are bought out. Integration services are services that are bought out. The traveling expenses and timesheet expenses are not bought out items, but they are expenses incurred by in-house resources. The reason we set up those as an item was to be able to estimate the cost of a project for purposes of making a proposal, and the others are the actual items that would be bought through purchase orders. Now, to estimate the cost of the project, we did a BOM, including these 5 items in the project delivery. And then we used the price list option. We set up a very specific price list for the project, and we got a whole bunch of people, or all the relevant people in the organization, to come back and say how much each of these particular items are going to cost, and based on which we made a proposal to a client. We got the order from the client, and now we're going on to the execution stage. Right, so there are a few things. The first thing that you need to do, obviously, you have made this proposal assuming that it's going to cost you 35K, and you got the order from the client at 50K. So there is a 15K gross, spread in this particular project, as long as you can deliver as per your plan. So the first thing you need to do to be able to ensure that you're delivering as per plan, is to be able to make a budget. And to make a budget, there are a few things that are necessary. The first thing is that you need accounts on your chart of accounts to be able to support the budgeting process, and I'll walk you through those things that we need to do. So open up the chart of accounts, go to the company, ROI Retrievers, under banner which, or under the entity which we're going to be doing this particular project. We go to expenses. All of those expenses are direct expenses related to the particular project. So we're going to add on a few items in here. For instance, if you open up the stock expenses, we will have automation equipment purchases and IT equipment purchases. Integration services expenses is not a stock item, so it's been added separately. It's a service item. Project travel expenses, expenses related to the travel of this particular project, and then timesheet expenses. So the thing that we're going to do is we're going to go and set up a budget. But before we set up a budget, there are a few essential settings that you need to make in the item master. And I'll just walk you through that particular thing. Item list is what we are looking at. Yeah, and we're going to open up computers and ensure that the account that this is hitting, the expense account that this is hitting. One of the things I forgot to tell you is that we have turned off perpetual inventory, and we're working with periodic inventory here. So here, that was just the periodic versus perpetual inventory. Periodic is what I am more comfortable with. There are different ways of approaching this, but for a budgeting expert, for a budgeting exercise, it's probably the easiest to do that. So you open up the item, go to the accounting, and then go to the default section. Let me walk you through again. This is the item master, and in the item master, I'm picking up computers, and in computers you probably see a screen like this. You go to the accounting tab, and this is version 15 ERPNext, just for your information, and you come over here and you ensure that this is IT equipment purchases, and you save this. Why is this necessary? This is just necessary so that a lot of things can be automated without having user intervention. It is also necessary for setting up the budget, right? Similarly, I'm going to go to the control panel, and then I'm going to go to accounting again, and open up the default sections, the item default section, and use the control equipment purchases. What was that? Automation equipment purchases. And I'm going to save this too. And there's just one other item that I need to add to, and the other two being internal deliverables are not purchase items, so it's not all that important to be able to do that. To set up the default expense account in there. I'm still learning to do video All right, so here is the default expense, and we're going to say integration services expenses. Integration services expenses, and I'm going to save this too. Now, having done this, and then there's the timesheet expenses and the project travel expenses that have already been set up in the chart of accounts, and I showed you that. So now with this much, we can actually set up a budget, and I'm going to show you how to set up a budget. So we're going to set up a budget now, and the way to do that is to go in here. You can go to accounting. Here, I'll click on account. Oops, excuse me. Go to accounting and find budget here. Here it is, budget, right? Or the easiest way on ERPNext is to know, as long as you know what you're looking for, is to come to the awesome bar and say budget, and you'll get a list of options and you can pick the appropriate option. So here's a budget, and I'm going to knock this off. I'm going to cancel this, delete it, and we're going to redo this whole thing. Obviously, when you're doing a video, the thing that you want to do is want to rehearse that as much as you can. And I forgot to delete that. Okay, so this is the budget that we're going to do right now. And in this budget, I'm recording. You can see the green canopy behind me. I'm recording this video at Lalbagh, a 140-acre oasis in the center of Bangalore, and it's kind of a beautiful place. And I just think it's cool to come here and do my video recordings over here. Oh well, we haven't even created a project yet. So the first thing that we need to do to do a budget is to create a project. So you go to awesome bar and say project list, and you pick up a project. And I will say make my day Inc. is the customer, 2023 is the financial year, and San Diego is where I am one. Maybe you will have multiple projects to be executed for the client in a financial year at a particular place. So I'll just put that, put the 01 stuff over there. And then nothing more you need to do, but you can always click on edit full form and see what are the other options you have on a project. So now we have this particular project. It's it's set up. So now we go to the budget list, and I'll say create budget, and I'll say against project. So since I'm recording this in Lalbagh, obviously there are a lot of tourists around, there are people around, so there are some background noises. So there's a electric cart that is coming by with a bunch of tourists. They're on a conducted tour of Lalbagh. They're going to stop where I am and going to talk about the elephant apple, and I'll leave this on. It's still taking a little bit of time. I'll just leave this on for you to be able to enjoy this walking tour. Apparently, the tree behind me, you can see the tree. That's my hand. Okay, you can see the tree behind me. That is the elephant apple tree. Apparently, elephants love it. But here to him, listen to him. Anyway, while he comes here, so you set the budget against project, and you select the particular project. That's the project that we set up. I'm going to stop now because the conducted tour is over here. I'm just going to see if you can hear that. It's probably a little too faint. Okay, the electric cart is gone. Yeah, it's probably a little too faint. Probably edit this out. Okay, so make the budget. You open up the budget page and you use budget against project. You select the particular project. And here are some of the control actions that are important. You can say that, look, I don't even want my people to be able to make a material request if we're going beyond the budget of this particular project. And neither should they be able to make a purchase order, and obviously they shouldn't be able to book expenses onto this particular project. And there are a bunch of options, like if the annual budget is exceeded, then I'm saying stop. But if the monthly budget is exceeded, then I'm saying warn, because there are going to be there are going to be variabilities between month to month in a typical project. You can obviously have a monthly distribution, but it's very difficult to be able to anticipate that. So it's probably not worth the trouble to be able to set up a monthly budget as well. An overall budget is what we will work with. So automation equipment purchase, that is the control panel. So the control panel is budgeted for 10K, and I will add that in, and then I'll add another row, and that then add the row. I'll add the row and pull this down so that you can see the options that we have. And then I'll pick the IT equipment purchases. These are the computer purchases, and we have a budget of 5,000 rupees. And then we need to add the integration services. Integration services in here. Every expenses, that's another 5K. And then we need timesheet expenses. And we are expecting timesheet expenses to be of the order of about $10,000 US. So we're going to put 10,000 in here. And finally, the project travel. Expenses related to project travel is expected to be 5,000. Not 50, but 5. Right. So now that we've set up the budget, we're going to save and submit. Now, once you set up a budget, of course, there are no expenses right now, so there is a budget variance report. You can look for the budget variance report in the awesome bar, and that will, you have to select against project. You will select the particular project that you want to work with, and the budget that we just set up will be displayed in this particular report, and the actual expenses that have been incurred can be monitored on an ongoing basis. So that's the reason why we set up a budget. So now that the budget is set up, so there are obviously this is the price, the 10K for automation, control automation expense, and automation equipment purchases, the 5K for computers and the 5K for integration services is what we've estimated. Now what we need to do is we need to be able to deliver this at the correct price, and we need to possibly minimize the amount of spend that we're going to have on all of these particular components, on each of these particular components of a budget, components of our expense. So the thing that you'd want to do is you'd want to so what we've done is we've kind of added a budget on this particular project. We have set up a material request and indicated to the purchase department that we need to buy these stuff, and the purchase department has gone ahead and released purchase orders, and the budget all seems to be okay as of now, so which is absolutely great. So now that I will kind of just do a quick demo for you about how the budget is working out for us. So we have the let's say we'll pick up a computer, right? and we'll try to make another purchase order for a computer. Let's say we forgot to order some extra memory, and you want to, and that extra memory is going to cost you $200. So now you want to release a purchase order for $200, right? Where is this? Here. My video, or my my video is kind of was hiding that scroll bar. Okay, so we go to the purchase order, and we'll say, and we'll knock off these filters so that we get to see everything, and we'll add a purchase order, and we will say supplier is Dell. Isn't Dell the company that we placed the order on? Yes, it is, I think. And again, we'll use today as the date, and we will pick up computers. I mean, this demo could fail. One number, I will say $200. Now there are a few things that obviously, oops,
एलिफेंट एप्पल ट्री बोलते हैं, हाथी का एप्पल। इसके ऊपर देखिए बहुत सारे फल दिख रहे हैं, इसलिए जंगल में ज्यादा होते हैं। जंगल में हाथी का फ्रूट, एलिफेंट का फेवरेट फ्रूट, एंड इसको खाने के लिए भी यूज करते हैं। ओनली कलकत्ता, ओडिशा एंड असम, 3 जगह पर इसे चटनी दाल
kind of change this. Not that it's important, important from
बंगाली में चालता बोलते हैं, ओडिशा असम में ओगा बोलते हैं।
operations perspective. IT equipment purchase is great, so now we need to use the accounting dimensions on and try to book it to this particular project. Project 3, that's the only project that's in there. And we try and save this. Of course, you need to, I thought I put in the supplier. Dell. And we'll save it. And once it saves, the save button morphs into a submit button, and we'll try and submit it. Say yes. And I'm tense enough to see if the budget control that we've set up is going to be working in here or not. See, so this is what the issue, this is what ERPNext lets you do. So what it's saying is that the annual budget for this particular item is going to be exceeded, so you can't do it. So what? But now you messed up. You had to get extra memory that you forgot or that you missed. So now what you have to do? You have to go book it into another expense. And in an organization, you probably say project budget overshoots or some account like that, and you will put that in, and then you will have a review mechanism to see why you keep overshooting the budget. What's the cost for it? How can you ensure that you don't overshoot a project budget? So this is the kind of controls that you have. And this is why an organization should digitize, because it gives you a lot of opportunities, it gives you a lot of controls, and it gives you the ability to ensure that you're able to deliver a particular project at the price that you thought you would be able to deliver it at. Because profitability for project, the business, system integration business is the sum total of the money that you make on each and every project. And if you don't have a digitized system, then it's very difficult to compute project level profitability, and things keep moving from one project to another, into a project in terms of revenue and away from a project in terms of expenses. So you think you're making money, and at the end of the year you realize that there is really not a lot of money in the bank. To prevent that, digitization is a great way of ensuring that you have adequate controls in your business. Hello, and welcome to ERPNext demos. This one is about demoing the system integration business, and so far in this particular business we've address the demand side by booking a sales order from a customer called Make My Day Inc. for $50,000. And once that order fructified, we kind of set up a project for this particular deliverable, and we set up a budget, because the whole idea of delivering on this particular project is to be able to make the kind of money that the organization expects to make. And very crucial to that is to ensure that you're able to deliver on this particular project within the expenses that you would anticipated at the time of closing the order with the client. So once we set up the budget, we went ahead and placed a purchase order, did a request for quotation for all the bought out items and services, and we placed purchase orders for all of those. So now what we are trying to do is we are trying to capture the in-house resources time that the in-house resource spends on this particular project. So the first thing you need to do is you need to go to the employee list and then add an employee, which I've already done, so Thomas Singh, and ensure that the employee is associated with the entity that you're trying to capture the time for. And after that, once this particular thing is set up, Thomas Singh can come in and use the timesheet feature on ERPNext, add timesheet, and we take the employee. We have to pick the employee. So typically when you're doing an implementation like this, you will ensure that the employee is automatically picked as the Thomas Singh gets into this particular screen. Now I don't want to select the project over here, because typically in any organization you have your people multitasking on different projects, certain demand generation activities, certain fulfillment activities that are more generic. You might do some corporate stuff such as digital marketing, or or general brand promotion, and all of those cannot be charged to a specific project or even pre-sales activity. The pre-sales activity that you undertake, where you give out X number of proposals for one order that you get, 3, 4, 5, whatever be the ratio for your kind of business. So so that particular part, if you select a project here, then the time that Thomas is going to book will be associated with this particular project, and with the project that is selected at the document level. So what we will do is we will leave this blank, but instead we will associate the line item with the with the project, and I'll show you how. So let's say we are talking about execution now, and let's say we are doing this for the 30th of October, and so let's say we started work at 8:08 and spent 4 hours on this project, the deliverable project, MMDI, and the other 4 hours in the afternoon, let's say he did something about proposal writing, right? So I'll pick proposal writing. I shall copy this, not that, this, and I shall and let's say he's started work at 1:08 and another 4 hours there. Now so once that is done, I'll ensure that the employee is selected, and you could say we could have more description about the kind of work that you did, or it could be a simple how much time did you spend on this particular project, what did you do, those kind of things. So now this particular thing is submitted, and the timesheet is submitted. Maybe as the prelude to the digitization of the particular company, the various employees would be sending their timesheets based on Excel. So maybe for a certain period of time, those Excels can be aggregated by somebody within the organization, and then data import could be done. So I'll just we'll do the rest of the timesheet capture for Thomas Singh via data import. And for that, you go to data import, pick data import list, and then I'll say add data import. Again, it's timesheet. Import type is insert new records. Also click and submit after import, and I will save it. And as I do that, there will be this download template link that will be available, and I'll say all records, and I'll select all the fields, not just the mandatory fields. A lot of times you need all the fields to really be able to do a good job of it. So I'm just going to add on today's date to it. So 22 2023. I'm going to say download, and I'm going to save this, and then I'm going to open it. And I'm going to say save as Google Sheets. And as soon as that is saved, I'm going to say add, say 100 more rows at the bottom, and I'm going to come to the top, and I'm going to copy this. Now there is already some stuff available, so you don't have to start from a totally blank template. I will knock this off because that can be associated by ERPNext, and we go there and we'll change the start date to 10/31. No, we were not going to do that now, and these two have to be knocked off because that's something very specific to that ERPNext allocates to a particular line item to uniquely identify that line item. I'm just going to copy this, and we try, and now having done that, I'll copy these four because I'm basically a sloucher. I like to goof off. I don't like to work hard. I wish. Here we go. I'm just going to always knock off a few things if it's not necessary. We try and get to today in terms of the date. I won't worry about Thanksgiving and a whole bunch of things. We'll just go with a technical demo, if you will. So that will be 10/31. And maybe kind of like, maybe this is not required, so I'm just going to knock all of these off because it'll automatically be pulled in by ERPNext, I think. So I don't need to worry about that. So we just go in here, and we change this to, we already 10:30. Right, so we have the timesheet file ready. I just do a quick QC on that to see if I've got everything okay. Let me just run this past. It's okay. And marked off the 2 time, the number of hours is there, the projects are there. Yep, so this looks alright. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just save this as a download a copy on my separated values, and I am going to call this upload, and I am going to try and import this into ERPNext. So I'm going to attach it, use the attach feature there, take the file that I just worked with and complete it, and I am going to say start import. Now let's see what happens. It's going through. It successfully imported 38 records. So now we have the, if I go to the daily timesheet summary, so well, I'm just going to click on refresh, and you will see the entire timesheets coming in there. So this is so this works fine. So now you have the timesheets all done. We need to cut the payroll for Tom, right? So we're going to run the to run the payroll. You need to have a salary structure. We'll make a salary structure now. As I add salary structure, you say timesheet based payroll. Okay, salary slip based on timesheet. Salary component is timesheet. Earnings against timesheet. All right. The hourly rate I'm going to put down is 62.5. So you probably need a separate salary structure for every rate in there, which is a little bit of a problem. So maybe there is somebody who knows how, somebody in the community that knows how you could have a single salary structure and maybe assign it. The right place to assign this would be, to assign the rate would be in the so the right place to probably put the rate would be in the salary structure assignment. So maybe I'm kind of missing something over there. I'm going to save this. I'm just going to ensure that there is an earning component in there. And earnings against timesheet, right? And we're going to save this. It's probably not required, but anyway, I'll just put this on. And timesheet amount will write the earning component amount for, that's okay. And then I'm going to say submit. Before I say submit, I just want to be sure about how often this particular timesheet is going to be on. Earnings against timesheets, obviously based on right. So, and then I'm going to say submit. Wait a minute. So let me just go to the account, mode of payment, and payment account. So just add a mode of payment anyway, right? So wire transfer. The default cash or bank account in the wire transfer account. And for that, I'm going to go into the wire transfer. And we'll say bank account and save it. And so now we have the salary structure. We go back to the salary structure, pick up the salary structure that we saved. The wire transfer is done and the payment account is bank account. Alright, so and we say save. Alright, we heard you the first time around. We're going to submit it. So that is submitted. Alright. And now we're going to assign it to employees. Assign salary structure. And we're going to assign it to Thomas Singh. And timesheet based payroll. You're going to say 1-1-2023 and tax slab. We won't worry about that. Payroll cost centers. You can have those payroll cost centers as percentage, but that percentage has to be a predetermined percentage. So now you have assigned it to Thomas Singh. So now what we'll do is we'll run the payroll for the entire period from 30th of November till this week, till last week. Alright, so to do that you go to payroll entry, and you say add payroll entry, and posting date is fine, and salary slip based on timesheet, and we will pick it up from 30th of October till why do we need to do that? Till the 15th, or maybe even today. I'm not too sure if I had the payroll done, the timesheet done for today. Let me use that and see what happens. Typically, when I'm doing a recording, I don't want to do any surprises because it typically gets a big problem if things don't work, and I end up not having a very crisp demo, and people's attentions are distracted. So accounting and payment. Right, so now we will say accounting and payment account is bank account, and there's no project in here, and we will say save, and we'll have get employees. Yeah, employees are already gotten, so we'll hit create salary slips, and I just walk you through the salary slip to ensure that everything is okay. Now, I'll come back to that in just a bit. So here is Thomas Singh's payroll. So we start date of 30th of October till today. So this is the payment days. No earnings and deductions. So this is where you will see the number of hours that is got paid. Right. So he's going to get paid a whopping $19,500. 312 hours, 62.5. So we're going to not submit it here, because if you, and I'll just talk about that in just a bit. We go back to the payroll entry, and we pick up this payroll entry and we say submit salary slip. When I say submit salary slip from here, there is a journal entry that automatically gets submitted as well. So there are some issues with control. Please set account in salary component earnings against timesheet. Alright, so we need to go to salary component. Just click on payroll to get us there. Can take us there. So I'll just reload and see if that gives us a few options in here. Yes, it does. There isn't a lot, so I shall go to salary component list and go to earnings against timesheet. And yeah, so this is the account that is missing. Timesheet expenses prior to appropriation, because Tom is going to get paid, or employees are going to get paid based on the timesheet that they have submitted, not against a specific project. So now that is done, the payroll part, the payroll entry should go through, should submit the pay slip and do the journal entry, the accrual journal entry, if you will. So there you go, it's been done. So now you have this. I will show you the journal entry that was used to run the payroll. So timesheet expenses to pay. So the payroll payable, so it's already got expensed out to timesheet expenses prior to appropriation, and that amount is sitting in payroll payable. And as the remittance is made, the payroll payable account will get reversed, and the actual payment will go to Thomas Singh, and that's how it works. But now if you notice, the payroll payable, the timesheet expenses prior to appropriation has been debited 19,500 USD. So now what we're going to do is we're going to move 9,750 of that into the project account. So the way to do that would be to I'm just going to I am just going to leave this here, open up a new tab, pick up this journal entry again, duplicate it, all in abundance of caution, and then I'm going to say timesheet expenses prior to appropriation, which is great, and I'm going to say timesheet expenses just want to be sure this is the account that we used in the budget document. So let me just look it up. So I just open another. You can have as many tabs as you want, right? So that's the big advantage of working with a browser. So it's so I go to the budget variance report. Yes, so that is good enough. The budget variance report should give me the account for timesheet. It's timesheet expenses. I hope there isn't anything else there. Yeah, timesheet expenses. So that is good. So that is timesheet expenses. So now we're going to put 9,750 as credit, and we're going to knock this off. We're going to put this 9,750 here, and we're going to knock this off. The one thing that we need to do is we need to open this up and put in the project information, otherwise it won't get appropriated to the correct project. And the way to do that would be to open up the accounting dimensions tab and put in the project over here. Don't put the general administration project. Your budgeting will get all wonky, all wrong, right? So now I'll save this and then I will submit it. And as I submit it, I'll take you back to the budget variance report, which is over here, and I will refresh this, which is one of the things that you need to do when you're working in browser-based system. Here you go. So 9,750 that Thomas has built is come and hit your project, right? So now you know that this particular project is ready. So maybe the $250 that is 4 hours is something that is going to probably you bill a little later. But now you know that you can start working on the rest of the items that are necessary for you to complete delivery of this particular project. And so you can get the computers in, the control panel in, and you can start integrating all of those particular things together. And that is what we're going to do very soon. Thank you very much. Hello, and welcome to this segment of ERPNext demos. We are demoing the system integration business, and this part of the segment is about receiving the input items to the system integration deliverable from the purchase orders that we've already made. I'm just going to cut to the chase, go to the purchase orders, and walk you through the 3 purchase orders that we made that needs to be received. So it's the computers, the control panel, and the professional services that need to be received. So we'll pick up the computer first, and we'll say create and say purchase receipt. So it's possible to make a purchase receipt and a purchase invoice together by using the purchase invoice option. But I would typically in an organization you will have one person responsible for the deliverable of that particular product, ensuring or that item, ensuring that that item has been received as per specifications in the quantity, will serve the company well in terms of the deliverable that they're trying to achieve. And there would be another person who would be responsible for making the purchase invoice and ensuring that it's compliant with tax laws, the appropriate tax laws, and then to ensure that that particular purchase invoice is paid. So typically you would want to use the purchase receipt as an option. Now you click on purchase receipt, and all of the particulars is picked up from the purchase order and is populated automatically in here. There is not much that you have to do. Probably a couple of things that you would want to put in: supplier delivery note, if there is a delivery note that they've given you. So put delivery document number, and you get in here and you open up the line, and you want to be sure that there are a few things that are appropriate, and I'll just quickly walk you through that. So we use a generic item called a computer, and then in there, in the material request, we started off by putting in a specific description about this particular item, so that there's no confusion. The supplier knows what to, you know what you're ordering, the supplier knows what you're ordering, you know what you're getting, and it all complies with what you're intending to do as an organization. And that description that you added for a generic item that you set up in the item master gets carried down to a downstream document. So it went from the material request to the request for quotation to the supplier quotation to the purchase order, and now it's come and sat here in the purchase receipt. There are a few other things that I will show you, and I just want to be sure that those are right, because those are important for ensuring that you are tracking the project appropriately. Everybody in the organization knows what's happening on this particular project, and also to ensure that the budget details are all appropriate. So the IT equipment purchases and the project 003 in the accounting details and the accounting dimensions respectively. These are the important components of how ERPNext tracks a budget against a particular project, and I'll show you as we finish the purchase invoice. Now this is a purchase receipt, so I'm just going to say save, and because we have not turned on perpetual inventory, this doesn't have an accounting dimension to it at all, and I don't even know if you'll be able to see the accounting ledger as part of this. Let me just open that particular thing up. There would be nothing, yeah, because we've not turned on perpetual inventory. This is purely a stock transaction. It's not an accounting transaction. So now, as let us say there are other people in the organization who want to know what is going on, and they want to see what progress we are making on this particular project. And the typical opportunity to be able to do that would be for a review meeting that people typically do, maybe a stand-up meeting once a day, and a review meeting once a week that people would attend and brief each other about the various things that are happening in that particular project. Now, when you have a structured data system, it's easy for people across the organization, authorized people, of course, across the organization to be able to know what is going on. So let me just pull this up a little. There are a few reports, and I'm trying to find one. Pardon me while I try to find that particular report. And the report is items to order and receive. So here I'm going to click on this, and we're going to drill down to a particular. We cannot drill down to a particular project on this particular report, so we have to live with this. But you can see, so what are the ones that have been ordered, like the computer ordered quantity, required quantity is 1, ordered quantity is 1, and received quantity is 1. So you'd be able to see, so if you say that, okay, what are the ones that have been received, right? So what did I do now? Right? The received quantity, there's some little bit of a received quantity greater than 1. Let me just run this up. Let me refresh this, and I don't know what's going on. There's something wrong with this particular report. Anyways, so so there is this requested items to order and receive, report that you can see to know what is going on in this particular project. Not just the project, the organization as a whole would be able to see what's going on. So here you see that out of the 3 items or the 3 procurements that were supposed to happen, the computers have been received, and the other 2 are yet to be received. So now, I just walk you through the, and because there was no accounting dimension to the purchase receipt that we did, and there is no accounting dimension to the purchase receipt because we've turned on perpetual inventory. So there is it's not going to hit the budget yet because this is just a purchase receipt. I know, you've already received it. There should be a liability created for that. But when you turn off perpetual inventory, you don't get to see that particular thing. But the moment you make the purchase receipt, and I'll go to the purchase receipt document, and you pick this up and you say create purchase invoice, and you open this up, you see the screen canopy over here. So I'm in Lal Bagh recording this on the 23rd of December, a Saturday. Lal Bagh is oasis, a 240-acre oasis in the middle of Bangalore, and I'm doing this recording because I think I'll just like how cool is it to sit in Lal Bagh and do this recording. But the flip side to that is that there's going to be some background noise or the other. So there are tourists today being Saturday, the big weekend before Christmas. So the people on a festive mood. So I hope you enjoy the laughter and the and the disturbance in the background. So there are a few things that we need to ensure that it's correct. I just want to be sure it automatically carries over from the material request document. If we make the material request well, the rest of it is going to be a walk in the park, really. So here we go. So we're going to save this. There are a few things that you may want to update. The supplier invoice number and the supplier invoice date. So let's say the supplier invoice date is today, and I will save it and submit it. And as you save on ERPNext, the save button morphs into a submit button, and you click on that and the document will get submitted. And in ERPNext, only submitted documents hit your stock ledger or accounting ledger, as the case may be. Documents that are not submitted stay in draft mode for you to change and modify as appropriate. Once you submit a document, you cannot change or modify that, which is great control. And you will have to cancel a document to be able to do that, but that's like I'm digressing. So now that you made a purchase receipt, and just go back to that same report that we were talking about, item to order and receive, and you will see, and I will refresh this, and you will see that the invoice has been made, right? So you'll see that the report says that the invoice has been made, quantity has been received, quantity. Oh, this doesn't have an invoice dimension to it at all. So okay. All right. You'll have to look at whether an invoice is made or not in a different place, and that'll be the purchase order analysis, and I'll walk you through that, and that's a fairly decent report. This is from a perspective of material request. That's the difference. Whereas the purchase order analysis is from the perspective of a purchase order. So here we go. The purchase order. Received quantity is 1, billed quantity is 1. So we're good there, right? So if you look at a material request, no, I'm sorry, I'm kind of have too many thoughts going on in my head, which I shouldn't. When you're making a video, you should be very simple. So I'll try and be simple. So now I'll take you to the budget variance report, because the purchase invoice has been made, and you will see that because the purchase invoice that we made, the budget for the project has got updated. And now ERPNext will not allow you to make any material requests for more than what is left in the in the budget. So there is a $50 for IT equipment purchase that is left in there. Other than that, it won't let you, it'll stop you from making a material request against this particular project and this particular account. The two combinations, project and account, is what is crucial for ERPNext to monitor your budget. So this is how you'll be able to see progress. So somebody who's looking at to see if the project is progressing would be able to see this particular report and say, all right, man, so people have been spending time, the internal resources have been spending time on this. They've already spent almost all the time that is necessary to be able to do that. They started procuring items. The items have started showing up at our customer's place. So maybe now is the time for us to start thinking about travel and arranging that particular travel. There is still the control panel and the integration service. The integration service will probably happen along with the travel in that. So now we go back to the other control panel, the other purchase order, which is for the control panel, and we'll pick that up and again receive it and invoice it out. So I'll pick the purchase order and regulators and controls, and I'll say create. I'll say purchase receipt, and then I'll add a supplier delivery note, and then I will just open up the line item, ensure that some of the things that are necessary are there, so that you could monitor the project appropriately. So the client specific warehouse is there. This is getting drop shipped to the client directly, which is great. And the accounting expense account is appropriate. That is also fine. And the project is also appropriate, and that's also great. So with all of these, you are in perfect. And you don't really need to do this because the ERPNext manages this in the back end. If you make the purchase, the material request appropriately, and if you populate all the necessary information in the material request, it'll get linked or it'll get pushed to the downstream documents appropriately. So I will submit this, but we know that this doesn't hit the budget till you make the purchase invoice. So I will pick the purchase invoice now, and then add a supplier invoice number and a supplier invoice date, which is today. And then again, out of an abundance of caution and to take up some of your time, I'm going to open up this particular line, ensure that the warehouse is appropriate. Where is the warehouse? There's no warehouse here, I apologize. This just pure accounting transaction, so it doesn't need the warehouse as part of it. The expense head is correct. That is what we want it to be. And the accounting dimensions are over here, and the accounting dimensions are also correct. I'm not able to get words out of my mouth. So here we go, and we save and submit it. And as we do that, the purchase order analysis report will obviously get updated. That's what the whole point of a structured data system is. The only thing you might want to do before you actually get stressed out about the report is to click on refresh to ensure that you know what's the latest information is fetched onto this particular browser. So you see that the control panel and the computers have started coming in, and then you received the quantity, you build the quantity, and now so this is one great way to to monitor what is going on in a project. You can filter it by project, so you'll be able to see very specific to the information on this particular project, and you can get reassured or you can freak out, as the case may be, depending on what you see in these monitoring reports. So you really don't need to there are other reasons why you'd want to do stand-up meetings and weekly review meetings, but most of this particular information can be seen by various people in the organization, the appropriate and then authorized people in the organization at any given moment in time. And that's the whole advantage of a structured data system, as I keep repeating myself and keep obsessing over that. So now I'll take you to the budget variance report. Here's the budget variance report. You have to pick the cost project, not against cost center, and you can pick the appropriate project to drill down to only information about that particular project, and you can see that it started mounting up. The budget has started getting closer to or the actuals have started getting closer to the budget. So there are two parts to this, and both of them will happen as the travel is undertaken. So one would be the integration service. The integration service goes through the same process. Let me go ahead and make that one too right now. I go to the purchase order. I'll say create purchase receipt. I'll put the delivery note number. That's a really complex delivery note number. And I will open up this line. Well, this is, I just want to touch upon a small piece of thing. This is a service. It's not a stock item. Despite that, we're doing a purchase receipt, which is like a little illogical, but this is one way that you can hack ERPNext to ensure that you're able to get some organization level controls to kick in. So typically in an organization, the person who's responsible for the delivery of the system would be somebody to do with supply chain or stores or inventory, and the person who needs to do the invoice is a separate person. It would be the accounts person who would want to ensure that the invoice is compliant with all regulatory requirements, and then the rate is right, and those kind of things. So even for a non-stock item or service item such as this, it does make sense to make a purchase receipt, because the purchase receipt is the way by which the person who is responsible for receiving this particular service certifies to the organization about his or her satisfaction or lack of it about the service that has been provided through this purchase receipt that he or she is going to make. And then once this is made, you have a confirmation that the delivery is appropriate, and then the accounts person can go ahead and make the purchase invoice. So the warehouse, which is a little illogical considering it's a service item, is right. The integration services expenses is right, and the project is also right. So now I will save this and I shall submit it. Right, so now if you go to the what did I do? If I go to the buying module and I pick up this report called items to order and receive, and you'll be able to see that everything's been received. So that's why there is saying nothing to show. But if I click on this reload report, and then if let me see if I can add a project to this. I'm very surprised as to why. Let me just add that anyway. What the heck? Requested items. I don't know what to do here. Project. Let me knock this off. Sorry, I'm kind of group by material request. Material request received. So this is only, so some of these reports need to be a null report for, so you don't need to worry, if it's showing null report, because that's what it is. Because it's completely been received, you don't have to you know, you don't have to worry about seeing a null report. Purchase, I'll take you to the purchase order analysis. I'm kind of not being very, I'm rambling. So now in the purchase order analysis report, you'll be able to see that all 3 items have been received, all 3 items have been billed. No, not been billed, because the latest one that I received, the purchase receipt that we made for the integration services, has not been converted into an invoice. So this is the advantage of having a structured data system. So there's so many things going on with people. They may miss something, they may think that they have done an invoice when they have not. So this will tell you very easily about those kind of those kind of misses that could have occurred. It'll not just tell the person who's missed that document, it'll also tell everybody in the organization. So somebody can gently nudge this particular person. Somebody can gently nudge this particular person about making that invoice. So now we pick up the purchase receipt, we say create, and we make a purchase invoice out of this. Maybe I shouldn't come here on Saturdays, it's kind of really noisy. So we want to be sure that the account is right, we want to be sure that the project is right. And once that's done, we can go ahead and make the purchase receipt. We can go ahead and save and submit the purchase receipt. That's saved and submit it now. Right, so now if you go back to the purchase order analysis report, you will show and you pick the project which we have, and we shall hit the refresh button, reload button. You'll see that everything's got billed, everything's got received, everything's great. Now if you go to the budget variance report, and pick the project. So the only thing that's not got billed significantly, there are still some timesheet expenses that are coming in. The other 3 purchases, we've been able to shave some dollars off to our advantage, so which is great. And then the only thing that's missing is the travel. So now the travel can be organized, the travel can be scheduled, and then the final integration can be done at the customer site. I will be talking about that in the next segment. Thank you for watching. Alright, I was in full screen mode. Hello, and welcome to this segment of ERPNext demos. We are demoing the system integration business. We've made significant progress on delivering this particular project. The only thing that is left is the not the timesheet, but the project travel expenses, and I will take you through in this particular segment as to how traveling expenses for a particular project can be appropriated to the project to ensure that the project is delivered within the budget that it was conceived or it was planned for at the time of picking up the order from the client. The thing that you do is you go to expense claim, hit on expense claim list, and that is in the HR module, and you can add, and you can I just interrupt myself, so I'll go in here and you can open up the HR module and you can scroll through and find the expense claim, like right here, or you can go here and say expense claim, and you can click on expense claim. The other thing that you can do, which is great about this awesome bar, is you can just go and say new expense claim, and it'll take you to a new document directly. How cool is that? And here Tom Singh is the person who's going, and I am the approver for Tom's travel. And over here there are a few things that Tom's got to take, got to select, I'm sorry, and he's got to select project travel, set the default account for project travel, which is very important. Without that, it's not going to be able to compile the project budget at all. So project travel expenses, so I'm going to save that, and then I'm going to come back to the expense claim document, new expense claim, and again that's on. If it's not set up, you do have a problem. Sometimes it's another page that you open up from one of the pages through a link, gets you back to the same page. Sometimes it doesn't. So in a lot of cases, it's better to do all the setup before you start working on a document. But typically in an organization, all of this would already be set up at the time of implementing the project. And here we're going to talk about the various things that we're going to bill the company for, and let me just recap both for my benefit and for yours as to what up. So I've been coming here fairly often. It's taken a lot many iterations for me to be able to think that I have done something presentable that can be put up on YouTube. So as I come to Lal Bagh to record my videos, there are a bunch of these street talks, and they're called streeties, they're called indies, and India has got a lot of street talks, and they're mighty friendly. They're extremely friendly creatures. When you if you happen to visit India, do be a little careful, don't be reckless, but do try and interact with a streetie. Do it cautiously. You'll have a very pleasant experience. That's what my guess is. Of course, dogs everywhere, all across the world, are beautiful creatures. I have two of them, two Indies at home. And it's probably the smell of those dogs that lets the street dogs in Lal Bagh think that I'm a dog-friendly person. So they come out, they check me out, they sniff my legs, they sniff my computer, they sniff my mobile phone. It's a nice experience. I like that. So it's a little distracting to you as you're watching it, but hopefully you will see the character in it. So the air travel, hotel, sundry travel expenses, 1K each, per diem, rental car, food and miscellaneous expenses, $500 each. So that's what we're going to do now. So we're going to say description, air flight, round trip, Dallas to San Diego for 2. So Thomas Singh and the other outsourced resource, they flew. So let's say this is $987. I will not touch the sanctioned amount for now. I will have to appropriate to the project. If you don't appropriate to the project, it won't get counted against that particular project. We again pick project travel, and we say miscellaneous expenses. $1,000. Again project 3. And again project travel. So you pick a generic item and then you put more information about it in the description document. Now I know there is some the hotel. There is some complexity. This is all going to get wiped out, I think, as I forgotten something. I've done a little bit of rehearsal to ensure that I'm able to put a crisp demo in front of you. I am fairly familiar with ERPNext. The concepts definitely, but the individual transactions, there are just so many of them. It's kind of impossible to be on top of all of them. So hotel at San Diego, you can put in the date for 2, because you're paying for the other resource that is also that is traveling on site, the outsourced resource that is traveling on site for the integration project. Right, so now we will say rental car. Project 3 and project travel again. Per diem. Five days for 2 persons. 500. Project 3. And then I think it's miscellaneous expenses. Let me go here. Per diem, miscellaneous expenses. There's 2 miscellaneous expenses. Huh? Very liberal travel budget or travel policy. All right, so $500, and then project 3. Now this is all done. So that comes to 4498. No advance payments, no taxes and charges, let's say. And we go to the accounting section, and we're going to add the project over here as well, out of an abundance of caution, because it's all against the same project. And we're going to come back in here, we're going to save this. Yeah, so that's what I meant. Once you save it, this whole thing gets messed up. So just imagine it's there. Trust me on this one. It is there, I guess. So, and now I will say approved. You got to do that and save it and submit this document. Now this is submitted. We go to the budget variance report. You can see that all your budgets have, they're like, your project must be almost close to being delivered, right? And it is, other than some miscellaneous hours that Tom needs to build this particular project. Maybe he managed to complete ahead of time. There isn't much else. There is a $506 remaining in this. Maybe I missed a rental car. Food. Oh yes, of course, food. So now it's a good opportunity because I missed it. You can have multiple expense claims, which is what you typically will end up having, right? And you'll be able to see the progression of how each expense claim is hitting your budget. So we'll put that in again. I'm sorry, we're not going to go into new expense claim type. We will just want to do new expense claim. I should have selected that one. From employee Thomas Singh. Expense approver is me. I shall already approve it even before I know what's in it. That's the kind of goof off I am. And say project travel. Now I am going to be very smart because I know this. I am not going to enter the description for it to get all messed up. We're going to assign this against this project and we're going to save it. Once we save it, we'll come back to the expenses and advances, and now we're going to add the description. Food expenses. The Indian way of saying that would probably be boarding expenses, boarding and lodging, but that's okay. Food expenses. Even in India, the colonial hangover is gone. The British terms are going away, and people are approaching. They'll probably say food expenses in India as well. The dog got scared. Excuse me. And I shall submit it. Right, so now if I go to the budget variance report, you will see that the $500 that was unbilled is now got billed, and so the project better be ready for delivery. And maybe indeed it is, but we shall track that, or we shall cover that in the next segment. Thank you for hello and welcome to ERPNext demos. This demo is on the system integration business, and we have made considerable progress from the budget variance report that people can use to track what is going on. Authorized people can track what is going on. We can see that out of a budget of 35,000 rupees, I don't really know why you have so many zeros over there. Some very interesting observation. So maybe somebody in the community can try and figure out why those. I wish organizations could monitor the budget to that degree of accuracy. You can see that against the 35,000 USD budget, we have billed 34,519. Tom still need to probably bill some 4 hours into this particular project, so this 250 is likely to get completely utilized, but it can always come in a little later. So now we go to the demand side, we call the customer and we say, hey, Mr. Customer or Miss Customer, we've done all the deliverables of this particular project. How you doing? This dog was come check me out. So, I always am very respectful to dogs. If they come and talk to me, I drop everything, including you guys, and say hello to the dog. The dogs are, I know a little about these things. Dogs are very moody. They're like children. And so there are sometimes when they'll come up and talk to you, and there'll be sometimes when they don't come up and talk to you. They'll just ignore you. And then I've realized that I don't want to let my moods come in the way. So I drop everything, whatever kind of mood I am in. If a dog comes up to me and wants to interact with me, I give it the respect that it deserves. Which is what I did. Sorry for the distraction. So now that we know that the project is reasonably advanced, and the customers said like, I'm glad what you guys have did. One or two things that need to be tied up, loose ends that need to be tied up, and you ask the customer if you could go ahead and invoice the customer for the project, and the customer says yes, go ahead and do that. And so now what you do is you go to the sales order, which was set up, and you pick it up, and the sales income really doesn't matter much. The income account that you use, because it will hit any part of your chart of accounts that your organization wants it to hit. But the important part of this is the project. And let's see if we have set up the project in here. And I just want more info, address of contact, terms, not in there either. Now where is the project information that needs to be added into this? I mean, if it didn't add it up, maybe I forgot to do that when I was setting up the sales order. It's not the end of the world. You can always do that at the time of making the purchase invoice. Let me just see if it's up in additional info. No, it's not. Let me open up the item and see if by any chance it's part of the item line. Item, manufacturing section, break. No, it doesn't look like it. Or even if it is, because I didn't put it in, ERPNext may not make that particular section active because that section is blank. But that's, like you said, that's not the end of the world. So what we're going to do is we're going to say create, and we're going to say delivery note. So we'll send off the delivery note to the person who's responsible for the deliverable of the project. And here we will ensure that the accounting dimensions is completed appropriately. Proj 3. And the like I said, the income account doesn't really matter. It could hit any income account that your accountant says it needs to hit, right? Well, this is the purchase receipt, so there is no income account. I apologize. And in the accounting dimensions, I will just ensure that I will select project 3 here as out of an abundance of caution, and we will come up and here look at let me just save this. I'll move this my mug to a more convenient corner. So address and contact, more information. So all of that stuff is done, and then we're going to say submit. Now again, this is a delivery note. We've turned on perpetual inventory on this particular instance. All right, so well, What we did, and it's a good opportunity for me to reiterate this particular part. On ERPNext, if you need to make a BOM, and you typically need to make a BOM for a project item, you will need to set it up as and I will walk you through that BOM list, and I will say new BOM. Pick new BOM here, right? And if I pick an item, and I just put a strange set of characters here so that you can see the filter that ERPNext is using to show you a subset of the eligible items for which a BOM can be made. So the first thing is there is only one criteria, that it's got to be a stock item. So we set up the project deliverable as a stock item. So now, because we don't have negative stock setup, means that stock of an item cannot, go into the negative territory. Obviously, that's what negative stock means. So what we need to do is we need to generate that project delivery. We need to make a manufacturing entry, a little bit of a hack, if you will, because manufacturing entry for an integration project may not make complete logical sense, but I shall show you something now. So let us say somebody else is looking at when to schedule your travel, right? And so what you have done is you want to be sure that the materials that you need to work with, the items that you need to work with, has reached the customer site. And to be able to do that, what you're going to do is you're going to come here and you're going to. We created a project-specific warehouse. We're going to pick up that particular project-specific warehouse, and we're going to say generate new report. And here you will see that the two stock items, that the computer and the control panel, have been delivered, and they're sitting in the client-specific warehouse. So now what we will do, and we don't need this because it's got integrated, everything's okay, we are going to invoice the customer, we're going to make money, we're going to get a reference, and we're going to be happy. So we need to flush these particular items out of the customer specific warehouse, and a beautiful way to tie both of these in to ensure that there is the stock of the sales item, which is project deliverable, and flush out the input items for this particular project, is to use the manufacturing entry, though the manufacturing entry concept may not make complete logical sense in a system integration business. But I will go ahead and show you how to do that, how to make that manufacturing entry. So you go to stock entry, and you pick up the stock entry list, and you say add a stock entry, and you pick the stock entry type as manufacturing. You come up manufacture, and you will use the I will kind of add the default source warehouse and the target warehouse in here, MMDI San Diego. Let's put the project deliverable also into the same MMDI San Diego, so that when you're looking at the project specific warehouse, you can see the MMDI San Diego, the sales item coming in and out of the out when you make the sales invoice or the delivery note. So the finished goods item quantity is 1, we're using it from the BOM, and I'll come in manufacturing. I need the BOM, of course, right? I didn't select the BOM. And that is the reason I got that error. Now I click on this and all 3 are here. But the funny thing is, like, though you didn't see the and you can see the funny thing is that because the service item is despite it being part of the BOM, it's not getting fetched into this, right? The only thing that are getting fetched are the stock items. So the stock items have come in. The valuation of the transformed item has got, is the sum of the valuation of the input items. The service items come separately, but anyway, since this is only for book purposes, the project P&L is already, you already see 35,000 USD against this particular project. So here is the project delivery, and I am just going to do one thing. I'm going to go into the accounting dimensions and pick the project, and I'm going to say save and submit. And as it submits, I will open up the stock ledger, view stock ledger, and you will see that the input items got consumed and the output item, which is the input item got consumed, the computer and the control panel, and the project deliverable or the project delivery item got produced, so to speak. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the not purchase receipt, but delivery note. In ERPNext, you can either pick up from the sales order and then push it to a delivery note, or you can start from the delivery note and pull information from the sales order, which is, I'm going to pull information from the sales order now. And when you click on that, it says you have to select a customer. So let's go ahead and do that. Make my day Inc. and sales order. Oops. And we're going to click on this, and we're going to say get items. So the sales order is got mapped with the delivery note, or the delivery note has got mapped with the sales order. And we're going to say sales set source warehouse. Remember, we dropped the transformed item, which is the project deliverable, into MMDI San Diego. So you got to use the same thing, otherwise we'll get a negative stock error again. So, and then I'm going to open up the accounting dimensions and attribute it to this particular project, and I'm going to open up this line item and ensure that all fields are appropriate, and I'm going to open up the accounting dimensions. Why is there one project up in the document and another one in the line item? I really don't know, but I think that one is used for your receivable account, and this one is used for the actual expense account. Or maybe if I'd saved it, it would have automatically got that information from there. But anyway, out of an abundance of caution, I just wanted to put, populate that particular thing in both places. And now I'm going to say save, and I'm going to say submit. Yes, that went through, right? So now we have the okay from the technical person saying like, yeah, your project is complete, everything's okay, I'm very happy with your deliverable. You can go ahead and put in your invoice. So at that particular stage, you come back to the delivery note, you pick this up and you say sales invoice, and there are a few things that I'm just going to show you that. And so there is the accounting dimensions that's got picked up from the delivery note, and I just want to be sure the customer PO details got picked up from the sales order, which is great. I'm just going to open up the line item and ensure that the line item has got all the information that is necessary. Expense item, there's no expense associated with this because we're on perpetual inventory, so there won't be a expense that is automatically booked. The warehouse is correct, not that it matters to the invoice because it's just a accounting transaction and it's just a accounting transaction and doesn't have a stock transaction implication because we did the delivery note, which was a pure stock transaction. It was a pure stock transaction again because we've turned off perpetual inventory. And I'm going to save this and as it fetches into the submit button, I'm going to submit this. And as it gets submitted, maybe I have to click this again. Yes. As it gets submitted, I will take you to the project P&L. That's very important, isn't it? For you to be able to monitor project level P&L. And the way you could monitor expenses through that budget variance report, not project level P&L, sorry, profit and loss statement. And in the profit and loss statement, you have the ability to look at not profit and loss statement. So we go in there, and there's already a certain amount of expense involved in here, and I want to see what is that other 10K expense. And we're going to pick the project, and you will see that the project is at it's making the kind of money that you thought it was going to make. But there is one small issue with this. You're looking at the project level P&L, but you don't really know if all the expenses that were supposed to be appropriated to the project have been appropriated or not. And the place to look at would be the budget variance report. If you go to the budget variance, I'll open up another tab on the budget variance report, and then I will walk you through that. And you've seen this budget variance report already, in another segment. And here you can see that the automation equipment, you'd budgeted $10,000 USD, you were able to buy it at $9,850. You may just want to call the appropriate people and check with them if the $150 is something that you can expect a bill for or an expense for. Most likely the other three, the 6, the 25 and the 50 are gains that you were able to accrue because you managed to procure it at a lower level than what you had budgeted it for. The timesheet is something that you may want to call Tom and say, hey Tom, there seems to be some 4 hours that you need to bill for this particular project. Are you going to be billing it? Is that required, or have you done all the work that is necessary? And depending on what Tom says, and Tom says no, I need to bill 4 hours, then you can take the appropriate call on that. Now let us say, and for some reason, somebody somewhere says like there is an extra deliverable. Let's try and see if we can make a purchase invoice against any of these particular items, right? So let's say we say new material request, right? So I don't know if this is going to work, so please don't bite my head off if it doesn't. MMDI San Diego, we will say computers. Let's say required by today. And because the item default is stores, we picked up the stores, but out of an abundance of caution we will change that. Maybe it would have changed that to MMDI from this default stores in the item master to the default store in the transaction at the time of saving, but out of an abundance of caution I'll do that manually. Here it is, and then we put the accounting dimensions here and put it as project 3, and try and save this. So I'm hoping that because the system knows that this particular computer is going to cost 4,950 or whatever that we bought it at, it's going to say, hey dude, you can't, because this is going to push it beyond the budget, because that is what our budget controls are. I'm just going to try and submit this. Right, so it didn't let you do that because it knows that stuff. 4950, there was a $50 remnant from what we managed to purchase, so it's saying sorry, you can't do this. So this is the control, and the way we've set up that control, just to give you a quick review, is the budget list. And in the budget list we've said that please stop if the annual budget is going to get exceeded on the material request. So you can see, of course, it requires, this one is at the time of the rough quotation. You want to ensure that there is traction with the client. You don't want to be too far away from reality, because there are obviously competitors in there who are also trying to put their best foot forward, their best proposal in there, and you want to be you want the client to come back to you and talk to you. So that's the first BOM or BOQ. The second one is at the time of order. Now this is a very precise deliverable. There is a very precise specification that both of you signed off on, and you want to be now you're committed, and you want to be able to deliver this specification at the price that you had factored in. So the third BOM is at the actual delivery, and at the time of deliverable, if you buy it at a $50 less or a $500 less than what you had factored in at the time of quotation, it's an added advantage, added profits for you. So these three BOMs, at the time of quotation, at the time of order finalization, and at the time of delivery, they got to be talking to each other, because now after this particular project is executed, you have to still give more quotations to other prospects, and maybe to even the same client. So you need to ensure that where the things that you're doing wrong, the things where you're going wrong, is appropriately corrected or taken into account when you make the next proposal, because the whole idea of the initial proposal is to ensure that you're not way too off the market pricing, and you want to be very competitive in there. And then this loop back is extremely important, and that's what a structured data system will help you achieve. It will help you look at the BOM, these three BOMs, and ensure that the delta or the difference between these BOMs is for reasons that are advantageous to you as an organization. The second thing a structured data system will ensure is that all your typically when you are in this system integration services business, you would want to have some level of certification, external certification, ISO certification or SOC 2 certification, as the case may be, to say that you have good systems in your in your organization, and you'll be able to deliver as promised and as predicted. So those certification processes will require a very clear process, very clear documentation, and ERPNext will help you achieve those. And the third and the most important thing is it will help you ensure that you're delivering as per budget, and you're able to monitor that you're delivering as per budget during the entire course of the delivery of this particular project, which could happen in weeks or months, quarters, or even years. Complicated projects can get delivered in years. So I think ERPNext, any system integration organization that is still working on spreadsheets and word processors, will be immensely benefited by looking at ERPNext. ERPNext is the world's, let me just take that slide again, in conclusion. Yes, let me open this up. Might go back to the first slide, in which case I shall maneuver to this slide. No, it did. So ERPNext is the world's most popular open source ERP. It's used by 25,000 organizations across the world. Many unicorns like Zeroda, which is the largest, by far the largest online trading platform in India, and they run their business on ERPNext. Elastic Run, logistics services provider to second and third tier cities in India, they run their entire business on ERPNext. You know what a unicorn is? A unicorn is an organization that has a valuation of upwards of $1 billion US. So these unicorns run their business, so they trust ERPNext, and so maybe you should too, and it'll definitely be a great opportunity for you to put some systems and structure in your business and make your business more predictable and more profitable. Thank you very much. Thanks for watching, and it's been an absolute pleasure doing this particular video ERPNext demos for the system integration business for all of you guys.